live. Hello. Welcome. So we are in this session looking and dealing with debt. And we're going to do quite a lot of tapping in this session because there's usually quite a lot of shit going on around debt, emotionally and physically, beliefs, all sort of wrapped up together in one groovy little parcel. So welcome. Thank you for joining me. Just drop your name in the chat box. Let me know who you are. What's your name? Where'd you come from? Channel Cilla Black. Surprise. And I want to start with getting clear on the feelings that you have around debt, because debt is quite a heavy energy. And I'm talking about kind of bad debt, the debt where, as opposed to investment debt, which is where you are investing in your growth, or you've got a house going on or whatever. I'm talking about the kind of the bad debt, I'm going to put it on a credit card and deal with it later kind of debt, and then suddenly, you're up to your eyeballs in it. How do I know about that? And debt is something that I've been doing a lot of work on personally. And so this is one of the reasons why I want to do this call today. So first off, I want you to get really clear on exactly how much debt you have. Because something that I was really good at was ignoring it. Didn't really look at it. Debt's over here. Didn't really look at it. If I don't look at it, it doesn't exist. Which doesn't help. But we kind of put a protective barrier down, because when we do look at the debt, it's very triggering. It's very scary. It can make you feel really unsafe. But to be able to clear the energetics, the heavy, unwanted energetics and limiting beliefs around debt and about what being in debt means about you, first off, you're going to have to get super clear on how much debt you're in. I want you to trigger those feelings, because the minute you trigger those feelings, they come up and we can work on them and clear them out. So if you haven't got pen and paper already, I would recommend you grab yourself a pen and paper. I also recommend you grab yourself some water and some tissues. You may not need the tissues, but I know from my past working with debt, when I first started working with my debt, I got a little bit emotional. I got something in my eye. It was very triggering. It was very emotional. It was very scary. So as we go through this tapping, if you do find yourself feeling really emotional and you have the temptation to stop tapping, please don't. Don't stop tapping. You can stop saying words, because often when we get really emotional, it's difficult to speak. But keep tapping. And actually, those big, snotty, juddering sobs, if you get those, keep tapping and keep sobbing. Combine the two, which sounds weird, but for so long now, you have been holding down your feelings around your debt. You have been suppressing the fear. It'll bubble up occasionally, usually when you go to bed. I'm just talking about myself here. Bubble up and send you into a bit of anxiety, but we've gotten really good at squishing it down again. But there is a lot of trapped debt emotion. As we start to look at our debt and start to tap to release those feelings, they're going to suddenly go, oh my goodness, she's feeling us. And you may get this wave of emotion. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it to prepare you, because the temptation is often to stop tapping. Please don't. When you tap, if you don't know anything about tapping, you're going to find out in a minute. But when you tap, you're tapping specific acupressure points on your face and torso. What this does is it generates an electrical signal that travels to the stress response center of your brain, a part of your brain called the amygdala, and it regulates it, turns it off, brings that stress response down. So I actually find it, personally, I find it very energetically shifting in a good way when I get the big snotty snobs and I tap at the same time, because it's just this massive release going on. So don't stop tapping. Don't have to say the words, but just keep tapping. Okay. If you've got any concerns about that, please do feel free just to pop something in chat and let me know, because I can't see you. I can't see you. I can't monitor you. But yeah, just keep tapping. Okay. I'm going to have to trust you're going to look after yourself and keep doing that. So first off, let's get super, super clear on the amount of debt we're dealing with. Now, if you're here live, this might be a little bit of guesswork. Give it your best guess. If you are watching the recording of this, replay of this, I would like you to get as an exact amount as you possibly can. I really want you to know exactly what you're dealing with, because you've been avoiding it because it's scary. But let's know what we're dealing with. So on your piece of paper, you are going to write, I have, and then write the amount of debt you're in. I have £10,000 worth of debt. I have £3,000 worth of debt. I have £50,000 worth of debt. I have £100,000 worth of debt, whatever it is. But go through your credit card statements, go through your loans, find out how much debt you are in. Now, as I said, if you're watching me on the live, give it your best guess. Give it your best guess and err on the making it worse side. Yeah. And when I want you to now look at that figure on your piece of paper, looking at that figure on your piece of paper. And when you are looking at that figure, that debt amount on your piece of paper, I want you to notice the two biggest emotions that are coming up for you. So the strongest sensations, feelings, emotions, whatever they are, that you are feeling in your body. And you're going to write on your piece of paper, when I think about this debt, the two strongest feelings, emotions, sensations that I'm feeling in my body are, and write down the two strongest emotions, sensations, feelings in your body. So that might be fear, it might be anxiety, worry, shame, embarrassment, disgust. But the two strongest sensations, feelings, emotions. If you're not too sure, if you can't quite put a name to the emotion, but you can feel a physical sensation, say the physical sensation and put the word feeling at the end of it. So when I think about this amount, this debt that I'm in, the two strongest feelings in my body are a fizzy feeling, and a not quite good enough feeling. Unless you can name the exact emotions. Okay. So just really allow yourself to sit with those two feelings. Just allow yourself, without judgment, just almost a detached curiosity, like, oh, these have come up. When I think about debt, these two feelings are the main ones. That's curious. And just acknowledge them. Thank them for coming up. Thank them for showing you that there is some healing to be done here. And acknowledge them without becoming attached to them. And as you allow yourself to really feel these feelings, to really notice these sensations, I want you to make a note of the predominant beliefs or thoughts that are running through your head or coming up for you. Such as, I'm no good with money. Such as, of course I'm in debt, I'm a spender. Have a think about it. As you drop into those two main sensations or feelings, what are the beliefs or thoughts that are running through your head? And make a note of them. And as you look at that debt amount that you have written down, I would like you to finish this sentence. This means I'm. This means I'm stupid, irresponsible, not good enough, bad. I don't know, but you do. So finish that sentence for me. As you look at your debt amount, this means I'm. I would also like to invite you, if something has popped up already, just give it a movie title and make a note of it. Otherwise, just be conscious and aware of any memories that pop up as we start tapping. But I'd like you, where a past event pops into your mind around debt that has affected your debt in some way, a financial trauma or something that if it hadn't happened, you'd be much better off. If this thing hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am now. Maybe you were betrayed in some way. I don't know. But as we go through this, just notice any past events, memories that pop into your head. And all I want you to do right now is give them a movie title. For instance, The Time I Was Betrayed, or My Stupid Decision. Something that you know you can just attach to it. You know what it means. You know what memory it's talking about. Just make a note of it. Because this isn't necessarily going to be a case where, we've now got 45 minutes. Chances of 45 minutes worth of tapping, clearing all your debt issues. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm not saying it can't be done. But I want you to start making a note of the memories that come up. And then what I'm going to invite you to do as homework is talk to yourself about those memories. Pick one memory, the most highly charged memory. Work with that one first. Talk to yourself about the memory as you tap through the points until the charge starts to come down. I'm going to work through each of those. Before you start, give that movie title, that memory, a number between 1 and 10, to represent the intensity around it. Don't worry if you have many movie titles. The chances are you won't have to work through all of them. As you work through the highest charged one first, it'll start negating the charge around the lesser ones. But that's going to be your homework. So as we go through this tapping, feel free to break off and write a movie title down of a memory or past event if one comes up for you. Okay. Okay. So let's do some tapping. Don't worry if you've never tapped before. I shall explain this. All you have to do is tap where I tap, repeat what I say. If you want to learn more about EFT and tapping, then I do have a beginner's guide to tapping, which will be on a link somewhere under this video in the comment section or the description section. But for now, all I want you to do is close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in and hold it. Let it go. Breath in and hold. Let it go. And one more. Breath in and hold. And let it go. And then just allowing your breathing to come rhythmically, naturally. So you take just a moment to really feel the connection to whatever it is you're sitting on or against. Just becoming aware of where it connects with your body. Noticing how it just seems to rise up to support you. And as you allow yourself to sink into this support just a little bit more now, I'd like you to think about that debt amount. That amount that you have written down. Or that amount that you're currently trying to avoid thinking about or writing down. And if you're not entirely certain what the amount is, give it your best guess and then commit to finding out exactly what it is after this call. And as you think about all that, just notice what's going on in your body. Notice those two main emotions as you consider that debt amount. Notice where they are in your body, where they're living in your body. Give yourself a moment to hear whatever it is your little inner voice is saying. And allow yourself to see any thoughts, memories, or images running through your head connected with this debt amount, even if at first glance they don't seem to be connected at all. And as you give yourself this moment, just to really allow yourself, give yourself permission to feel those feelings that come up around the debt. I'd like you to give the intensity of those a number between 1 and 10, where 10 is very, very high. And take a nice deep breath in and hold it. And let it go. Now I'm going to start off, when you open your eyes when you're ready, start off tapping on the side of your hand. And you're going to repeat after me. Even though, when I think about the amount of debt, I feel, and then tell me out loud those two main emotions that you're feeling. I feel scared and anxious. I feel frightened and ashamed. Tell me those two main emotions. and I feel them right there. And then tell me where in your body you feel them. I feel them right there in my stomach, right there in my head, in my chest, in my big toe. Tell me where you're feeling them. Tell me out loud. I choose to love and accept myself. Even though when I think about this debt amount, I feel, and tell me again how you feel. And I feel that right there in my, and then tell me where you're feeling it. Claire, you don't understand. I feel, and tell me again how you feel. Right there in my, tell me where. And I'm open to loving and accepting myself anyway. Even though when I look at this debt amount, I feel, and tell me again how you feel. And my inner voice is saying things like, and then tell me what your inner voice is saying. I'm not good enough. I'm stupid. I can't do it. I'm irresponsible with money. Blah, blah, blah. What's it saying? And as I listen to that inner voice, I feel even more. And tell me again what you're feeling. And I'm open to loving and accepting myself anyway. Okay, so now we're going to tap on the eyebrow point. Again, repeating after me. When I look at this amount of debt, when I see it there written on the paper, when I see it in my mind's eye, I can feel my body reacting. I can feel my chest tightening. I can feel a knotting in my solar plexus. I can feel my jaw starting to clench. Just by thinking about this debt amount. It makes me feel, and then tell me again how it makes you feel. And I feel that right there, and tell me where you feel it. And tell me what it feels like. Is it a pain? Is it a tightening? Is it knotting? Is it a fizziness? Tell me what it feels like and where it is. This fizzing in my belly, this tightening in my chest. Tell me out loud. And I give myself permission to feel it. I don't really want to feel it. But I have been pushing this feeling down. I have been avoiding looking at that debt amount. Because it feels like this. it's really friggin' scary. Maybe it feels like I'm drowning in it. It's really stressful. And maybe I feel really ashamed of it. Maybe I haven't even told anyone I'm in debt. It is a shameful thing. Only stupid people get into debt. Only financially irresponsible people get into debt. If people knew how much debt I was in, they would judge me. Hell, I'm judging me. And I'm never going to be free of it. I cannot see a way out of it. It feels like I'm going to be in debt forever. And it's really, really scary. And that emotion that I'm feeling, I can feel it physically. Maybe it's making me feel sick. Maybe it's causing me to cry. It's just so incredibly scary. It's just so incredibly shameful. All these beliefs that I have around it. All these beliefs I have about myself. When I look at the amount of debt I'm in, it means that and tell me what it means about you. When I look at the amount of debt I'm in, it means that and tell me what you're making it mean about you. I'm irresponsible, I'm stupid, I'm not good enough. What is it? Tell me out loud. And I'm open to forgiving myself. Even if part of me just said I don't deserve to. I'm just going to be open to forgiving myself. I'm just going to be open to the fact that I'm telling myself a story. I'm telling myself a story about me. I can hear it in my head, and it's a story. It's a story. And I'm open to showing myself some compassion. I have been beating myself up with this. And I'm open to showing myself some compassion. As I think about that amount of debt, as I see it written down on that piece of paper, I acknowledge the feelings that come up. Yes, I feel scared. Yes, I feel stupid. Yes, I feel embarrassed and ashamed. Yes, I feel hopeless. And I've been hanging on to these emotions. I have attached myself to them. But what if I can just acknowledge them? Without attachment. Maybe even with a little bit of curiosity. Oh, I feel ashamed of myself. That's curious. I wonder why that is. Oh, I feel embarrassed. I wonder why. Why do I feel embarrassed? And the answer that comes up is a story. It's just a story. The reality is I have this debt amount. And maybe I've been doing my best to avoid it. And I give myself permission. I give myself permission to really think about how I clear it. I give myself permission to bring the stress levels down so I can be more creative, so I can be more logical, so I can be more open to opportunity. Acknowledging and accepting these feelings. And take a breath. Just shake out your arms if you need to. Just have a check-in with that number, the intensity number around that feeling. This is how you track your progress. Obviously, what we're looking for is the number to come down. So if your numbers come down, fantastic, we're headed in the right direction. If your number has stayed the same or gone up, you're not doing it wrong. It's not working. That is giving us feedback really valuable feedback. So if your number is higher now than when you started, ask yourself, get curious, what is it specifically that you said or thought that caused the intensity to spike? Something else I want you to get curious about is the higher number that you have now, is it around the same emotion? For instance, if you started off with two main emotions of fear and shame, and they all sort of bundled up were, I don't know, a 9 out of 10. And now you're a 10 out of 10. Is the feeling still fear and shame, or has it changed? Is it now something like sadness or guilt? And if it's changed, then that's the number for that emotion. So that's fine. Put that down on a bit of paper, guilt, whatever, with that number. But then check back in with the original two feelings that were a 9 out of 10 before, let's say. What those two things, what are they now? What are they now? Because what tends to happen is the original emotions, the intensity actually comes down, but they are replaced by another emotion, which feels more intense. So then our automatic response is, oh, my number is higher now. But actually it's a different emotion. So it's actually dropped, which is kind of different emotion come in, because emotions are layered. So get curious about that. If your number has not shifted, if it's the same, it tends to be because, particularly in this kind of scenario, there is a part of us that doesn't want to let us off the hook. Okay, we've got ourselves into this debt. We've got ourselves into this debt for a reason. So this is, in and of itself, might feel a little triggering. So just feel free to tap your collarbone point as I talk about this. We as human beings never do anything without a good intention behind it. So when we have something that we don't like, we consciously don't like, well, I don't know why I've got this, I don't like it, I wish I wasn't in this situation. But if that situation wasn't giving you something positive, you wouldn't have got yourself into that situation. Don't expect this to be logical. We're dealing with the subconscious here. It's not logical. But there is a part of you that needs that debt. This took me, I was very resistant to this when I first heard it. I was like, what are you saying about me? But when I allowed I immediately triggers, which is interesting, immediate trigger. But when I allowed myself to sit down and actually think about it, I said, well, if, let's just say, I'll just play along, if part of me needed this debt, this amount of debt, I wonder why. What is it needing it for? What is it wanting from it? And what came up, or one of the things that came up for me, was that when I first started my personal development journey many, many moons ago, I went to a lot of personal development events. I saw a lot of people speak from stage, and almost every single one of these people who spoke from stage about how successful they are always gave an origin story. And in the origin story, they were in so much debt, it was ridiculous. And now they're on the stage helping us, because they've got themselves out of all this debt. And a little part of me thought, if I'm going to be successful, I need to be in that much debt. Because that's what they did. Which is ridiculous. It's just, I can laugh about it now. But just by allowing myself to get curious and to have a think about it, I was like, oh, okay, so part of me thought it was actually doing me a favor. It wants me to be successful, but apparently, according to all these other people, to do that, I have to be in lots of debt first. I can get myself out of the debt and then help other people do the same. So just have a little think about that. There are two other main reasons why we get ourselves into debt. The first one is to do with the people around us. Now, this isn't a name and blame scenario, but we have a loyalty paradigm. We have inbuilt into us a need to be loyal to our tribe, which is very, very primitive, because if we weren't back in the day, then we'd get kicked out and we'd be in trouble, like serious amounts of dying by ourselves in the woods trouble. So we have this loyalty paradigm, which says to us, we have to be just like everyone else around us in our tribe, or we'll get kicked out. We'll stand out. It's not safe. So have a think about who in your life you've seen struggling with money, who you've seen dealing with debt. And be open to the possibility that there is a part of you that wants to be so loyal to that person. You want to show solidarity. They're in debt, they're suffering, I must do that too. I can't allow myself to not be in debt because then I'm not being loyal to that person. This is particularly prevalent with your parents or caregivers. And it's particularly prevalent again on the male side, your dad. There is a big thing in our loyalty paradigm that whispers away to us that we are not allowed to do better than our dad. Because if we do, we are showing him up. Now, there is a reverse to this loyalty paradigm. There is a rebellious paradigm too. We often have both. And the rebellious paradigm sounds like, I'm never, ever, ever going to be like my parents. And so we do all the things that won't be like our parents, but then our loyalty paradigm kicks in, drags us back, and we're like, no, and we rebel again. So just have a little bit of a think about that. The second main reason why we tend to hold on to debt and debt energy is part of us feels like we should be punishing ourselves. And we punish ourselves with the debt. So for instance, if in the past you made a financial decision that went a bit wrong, didn't pan out how you hoped it would, or maybe you put your trust in someone and they nicked on your money and legged it, there can be part of us that goes, I should have known better. I need to punish myself for being so stupid. And we punish ourselves with debt. And you might be thinking, well, God, Claire, where's the positive outcome of that? But we are fulfilling that, we need to be punished. So that the best of intent behind the decision to be in debt is that we are punishing ourselves. We are, we're not letting ourselves get away with it. That's the good intention. So it can take a little bit of a mind unhinging. But I'm going to invite you to really think about this, because it's in the stuff we don't normally think about, in the stuff we don't tend to dig into, is where the gold is. So I really encourage you to have a think about this. And I'm just going to finish off with a little bit of tapping around that. And even if this doesn't sound or feel like it's relating to you, I'm going to encourage you to tap along and just be open to whatever comes up or pops into your head. Okay, there's no such thing as too much tapping. So just play along and just get curious as to what you feel, what you see, what you think about. Okay, so I'm going to go straight into the eyebrow. Repeating after me. Part of me needs this debt. Part of me needs to be in this much debt. Which sounds utterly ridiculous. But I'm just going to play along for a moment. Part of me needs to be in this much debt. Part of me wants to be in this much debt. And I'm just going to get curious about that part. Part of me wants and needs to be in exactly this much debt. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in it. Otherwise, I'd have cleared it by now. And my inner voice may well be arguing with this. And that's okay. I'm just going to be open and curious. I'm just going to play along for a moment. Because if I did need to be in that much debt, I wonder why that is. I wonder why part of me needs that. I wonder why part of me even wants it. I wonder if I'm punishing myself. Maybe I've made some bad decisions in the past. Maybe I put my trust in the wrong people. And part of me is saying, my God, I should have known better. I can't believe I was that stupid. I can't believe I was that trusting. I should have known. I'm not quite sure how I should have known, but I should have known. And if I had known better, I wouldn't have to punish myself now. Because I am punishing myself. I am punishing myself with this debt. And I need to keep punishing myself. That's why I will never clear it. That's why I clear a bit off and then I put more on. I don't deserve to be free of it. I have to keep punishing myself with it. And if that's the case, I'm going to ask myself a question. How will I know when I've punished myself enough? How will I know when to stop punishing myself? Maybe I'm not too sure. Maybe the answer that came up was never. But how does that work? How does punishing myself forever help? I'm just going to leave that with my subconscious mind. What if I could stop punishing myself right now? I deserve to stop punishing myself. No, I don't. Yes, I do. But I can't let this go. I can't let these feelings or this debt go. Because if I do, I'm being disloyal. Part of me needs to be in this debt. So that my family accept me. So that my family look after me. I have to be in this debt. To prove how much I need them. So if I let this debt go, they're going to think I don't need them anymore. I can't do that to them. I need to be in debt. Maybe I need to be in debt just to be a rebellion. Maybe I was told over and over and over how bad debt is. So I thought, screw it, I'm doing it. Maybe part of me swore I'd never listen to sound financial advice. Because it came from people I didn't want to be like. Whatever it is, I'm open to getting curious about it. I'm not in this amount of debt because I'm bad or stupid. I'm in this amount of debt because part of me needs and wants it. And by finding out what that part needs and wants. I am then able to claim 100% responsibility. And I'm able to start healing it. I'm able to take this heavy debt energy and start to understand it. I'm able to be open to opportunities. And I choose to be really grateful to myself for stepping up to this, for getting curious, for giving myself permission to start to reclaim my power. And take a breath. How are you doing? It may well be you feel a bit tired now. It may well be you've been yawning a little bit. It may well be you've been suppressing the odd burp. It may well be you got a little teary. It may well be you experienced temperature changes, got a bit shaky. All of that is absolutely fine and normal. Signs of energy shifting around. Of course, you may have felt none of that, and that's okay too, because we are all different. But how did you get on with that? It can start off as a little bit of a bitter pill to think about swallowing. But by getting curious and by questioning yourself, you are giving yourself permission to take 100% responsibility. And the moment you give yourself permission to do that is the moment you start to reclaim your power. Instead of being the victim of your debt, you are reclaiming your power and getting curious about it and questioning it. And as you start to clear the heavy energy around it, you are opening up yourself up to opportunity. Your stress response decreases, allowing your logical prefrontal cortex to come back online. It's the CEO of our brain. It's the creative part. You bring the stress and the emotion down on a debt, and you get more creative, more practical, more logical about how to solve the debt issue. So thank you for playing along with me with that. I really appreciate your time. I hope you find it useful. If you've got any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat or pop them in the comments section of the video YouTube thing. But I do encourage you to just get really curious. This isn't about blaming, naming, shaming, and judgment. This is about getting curious as to the blocks and the resistances and the reasons why you have it. And just getting curious, just be open to it. Awesome. We're done and complete. I will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you for joining me. Toodles.